Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV. We are here again, and we're also ready for listeners on the Joy in the Pain podcast, all part of the Talk Sport network, and representing Walsall. That's good. So today we're talking with Walsall Foundation Director, Adam Davy. Hi, Adam. How you doing?
Morning. Really good, thank you. And yourself?
Oh, I'm very good. Yeah, very good. You had a very good weekend, didn't you? What with the kids at Wembley?
Yeah.
Some people thought the big event was Carlisle Stockport, but it was Walsall Stockport, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, we managed to eclipse the big event. It was it's a school competition we run every year. There's two elements to it. It's run by the EFL. There's the Under-11 Kids Cup and the Under-13 Girls Cup. And our Under-11 team was a school from Cooper and Jordan, which is, if people know, is a primary school in Aldridge. So we were working it out on the drive home on Sunday. I think they had to play 17 games, including the final, to win the trophy. That school they played in. We had nearly 50 schools enter the local competition, so 50 Walsall primaries entering competitions on the AstroTurf at the stadium. Whittled them down, obviously, to Cooper and Jordan as our representative school. They then went to a League Two Southern final. So 12 of the League Two clubs in the southern area. Yeah. We went to Northampton, won that, which meant that we then played the winners of the northern equivalent for League Two at Wembley. And that happened to be a school from Stockport County. And obviously they had their supporters there for the main game. And they came out 3-0 winners. So the kids did ever so well, played some really good football, represented the club well, and it was nice to see the Walsall logo up on the big screen at Wembley for a short time as well.
Well, it ought to be there for other reasons, hadn't it? But I mean, that's an amazing achievement from the youngsters.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they're going to go on to represent the first team. That would be nice.
Yeah, there was one lad who stood out in the preliminaries, but he's already signed at Aston Villa Academy.
They taken him away, have they?
He was already signed to them anyway, so that even though we'd spotted him being a good little player, there was nothing we could do there. But there was 3 or 4 others, good little group of lads that will be mentioning to the club that they might want to have a look at them as well. So yeah, good weekend.
Is that a big problem? They get pulled away before you have a chance to get them signed up for Walsall?
It swings and roundabouts. Obviously, the pull of being at maybe a bigger name club for kids in academies is one thing, but then opportunities to progress might be greater at a smaller club. So it gives and takes. We've brought through players like Rico that are now playing in the Premier League, and Liam Kinsella, who obviously has left us now, but Liam, who came through the academy, and 1 or 2 others. Jamie Patterson is another name that springs to mind that. And Ronan Mayer, of course.
I was going to Ronan Mayer. He's sort of like a shining light at the moment, isn't he? We're just hoping he sort of completes the transition to the first team. He looks like he's going to.
Yeah, a good player. And again, on the flip side, Ronan started at Aston Villa, then went to West Bromwich Albion, then came to us. And the fate of the football gods, you never know whether if he'd have stayed all the way through at Villa, he'd have made it with a professional contract or not. It's a very difficult industry and thing to get involved in as young players and get through the system. All the clubs look after the players. There's a lot of talk about obviously kids that get released and things like that, but it's part of what you accept if you sign to an academy, and everybody knows that not everybody can go all the way through. And so we'll see. Maybe 1 or 2 of the kids will be appearing in Walsall shirts as well.
That would be nice. Right then, so the latest release of your annual report. We're going to have a look at that. So let's just get that up on screen, and we'll have a look on that. I always get this the wrong way around. Hang on. There we go. You can see that now. Let's put that up there so people can see. That's it right then. So you are the Academy Director. And
Foundation Director, not quite Academy. That's Rob Williams, but no, Foundation.
Oh, sorry, that's me. You'd think I'd be preparing for this, wouldn't you? I have. I've been rehearsing, and
I know. It was the talk of the Academy beforehand, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. That's what threw me. I'll use that as an excuse. You've got quite a credible group, though, haven't you? With
Yeah, I mean,
people on board now.
We've been publishing the annual report since 2019. Obviously, a couple of those, 2020, 2021, were sort of through the pandemic and slightly different kinds of delivery to what we're used to now. But we publish it every year. You can see there on the staff chart, we've got over 20 full-time members of staff. We've got a really strong board of trustees that oversee the charity for me, and I report to them with updates, and another maybe 15 or so casual staff.
Don Goodman, he's new to the trustees, isn't he?
Yeah, so we had two new members. We've had some retirements by rotation. The Charity Commission recommend that 3 terms of 3 years is a good benchmark for trustees. And we were very thankful to some very long-standing trustees that have stepped down now because of that retirement by rotation, particularly. So it was a case of looking for new trustees. And yeah, Don's come on board, as has one of the guys from the Trivala board. But Don's been brilliant. They're very, very new. They've only been to a couple of meetings, really. They're just finding their feet with it all. But Don has got fantastic media presence, knows the club. He's local to the club still. But more importantly, he sits on the EFL panel that judges the programs and projects that get put forward for Projects of the Year at the EFL. Now, I don't expect any sway in the voting from him, but I certainly would think that when we're putting things together, because he would have to disclose his sort of interest in being a trustee with us anyway on that. But, some guidance on what we're doing well, what we can improve on, I think Don will be a fantastic addition.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to have his influence around the first team as well, wouldn't he? Sort of as that kind of thing. I don't know whether he'd be up for that, but...
Well, quite possibly. We have spoken, obviously, and part of the annual report, and it was something that slowed down during COVID, was obviously player visits. We had to be very careful about taking players out to schools and different places like that. But Don's particularly keen on sort of player input. We had some fantastic visits last year. That'll probably, that last year and this year, some that will feature in 2023's annual report when we come to do it. But Don's very keen on sort of going down and maybe speaking to the players about their importance on the off the pitch activities as well. So I'm sure he'll be a real positive influence.
Yeah, having sort of that kind of experience in and around young players can sort of all the way from the first team all the way through the academy to the young ones as well. It's
we encourage the youth team to get involved in the player visits as well. It's a good experience for them. As we speak to them each year, and we sort of say to them, when kids say they still change at the training at the stadium, before they train at the training ground or up on the AstroTurf. So they're around the stadium a lot. And if it's say October half term when the kids are on school holidays, the kids will see the youth team around. So it's good for them to be ambassadors for the club as well. It's good practice for them. Yeah,
that's good. Education is a big part of what we're doing as well there.
Yeah, and I think, and I appreciate you having me on. Thank you. Because, as much as everybody focuses a lot on the on-field activities, the off-field activities, we always feel is something the club should be proud of and supporters should know more about as well. And education's one of our 4 departments. And as you can see, weekly, we're seeing over 3,000 kids every week in activities. And, the school tournament won over 1,000 kids are involved in school tournaments. The school partners game, nearly 3,000 fans came to the school partners game. So working with the local schools is really important because, again, for us, great engagement. We can really make a difference to those kids and equally potentially get them down to games and convert them into Walsall supporters.
That's it. As you touched on there, sort of, there's so much more to the club than just the football, and it's good in some ways for the pain that we've sort of gone through with the team this season. It's nice that there's other stuff going on, and that's why it's good to have you on to share that there's a lot of other things happening.
Yeah, I think it's
positive things, lots of positive movements as well.
Yeah, it's important that, ultimately, there's 92 professional clubs. There's now the National League, which are all professional teams as well, or full-time teams, I should say. So essentially professional football. So over 100 clubs that they're operating the foundations and trusts and community schemes. And, teams will have their ups and downs. Only one team can win the FA Cup, the League Cup. Only 4 teams can win their respective leagues and everything like that. So there's a lot of us that like to think that the difference we make off the pitch as well can be sort of applauded and promoted as well.
I think as the Premier League sort of do take a lot of the focus, and as we've already touched on, they'll sort of get first dibs on speculative new talent and that sort of stuff. But it's not all about the Premier League, is it?
No, not really. And I mean, yeah, they'll see new talent. They'll get a lot of the plaudits of the off-field work and activity as well. But as you see there, the Premier League are very conscious of that. They're conscious of obviously the money that's involved in the game, and they fund hundreds of programs across the country, across everything down to the National League. There are National League clubs that get Premier League funding to deliver projects such as the Premier League Primary Stars there, where we have a very focused sort of project that goes into primary schools and looks at improving children's reading, literacy, numeracy, PSHE, and we also do teacher CPD to upskill primary school teachers to be able to deliver better PE sessions if our coaches aren't in school. So loads of stuff that goes on that the Premier League fund up and down the country as well.
Yeah, so it's good that that's sort of spreading some of that money.
Yeah,
comes down to the lower levels, isn't it?
Yeah, that was an interesting one at St George's Park. So there was people, probably supporters that follow the game as a whole, would say that St George's Park was 10 years old last year. And as part of that, we took a boys and a girls team along to a primary school competition there that was hosted by the FA and visited by Prince William. So that was a very special moment for the kids involved from St Giles School, which is one of our partner schools. Poundland supported it by buying the kids all a Walsall kit to wear. And yeah, we went there, and that was actually the first royal engagement for Prince William after the Queen's funeral. So it was his first engagement as a Prince of Wales as well, and obviously heir to the throne. Yeah, so very special day for the staff and the kids that were involved in that.
We've not converted him to being a Walsall fan yet, though, from Villa, have we?
No, I think he's still a Villa fan, but you never know. He might keep an eye on the results.
Well, we hope so. We hope so. Yeah. We'd have to find a special seat for him if we did want to come down the stadium.
Yeah, definitely.
We talk about the education and sort of bringing that through, because perhaps when kids are struggling, getting them engaged with sport and combining it with some education is sort of a good way of sort of bringing them on. But I think a big part that I'm really happy with that you guys are working on is the health side of things. Mental health has become a real big challenge. I'm really pleased that you're involved with that area. Yeah,
I mean, if you go into the sort of research and demographics of the town of Walsall, the residents that live there, you'll see from NHS and other sort of studies that the areas of deprivation, the problem that the health problems that are a result of maybe some of the deprivation that there is in Walsall means that there's a lot of people out there that maybe need that support, and physical and mental health on an equal level are really important. Mental health, obviously, very prevalent, and it's easy to say, particularly in men, because men don't talk, and maybe finding them avenues to open up in areas where they maybe wouldn't have, but equally women as well. People's mental health, and not just people that are diagnosed with it, maybe people that have had stressful situations in their personal life, have got stressful jobs, and maybe need to just come and have an hour of playing football with some like-minded guys and supporting each other and staying for a cup of tea and a biscuit afterwards. That's really important as well. So we're really pleased with the impact that our physical and mental health programs have on affecting the lives of people in Walsall.
Again, it's great to share this so people can see and hear that there is that avenue out there. So for people connected with Walsall fans, if they are struggling, there's an arm there.
And I mean, it extends to the walking football for the over 50s. It extends to our pan disability projects. Beat the Block is our focused mental health program, and lots of those guys and women are entering local tournaments against the other local clubs. I think in the last month we've been to a tournament at West Brom, Villa and Wolves. We're looking to host one as well and linking in with their programs. And while the on-field rivalry is always there for football fans, off-field we work together and can have such an impact as a sport as a whole, and Beat the Block's a great example of that.
Yeah, I think that if that's just small steps towards working more with the other local Premier teams and the likes, it can only be good. I like
the off-field stuff, particularly on that. You know, there's obviously a rivalry they play. The Civil Regis project that we run in the education department, that's another one that links in with the other 5 West Midlands clubs. And there's a bit of rivalry when the football comes, but actually taking people to meet people from outside their area, physically socialise with those people beyond the football, I think is really important for everyone. And, you know, expanding your horizons outside the Walsall borough and meeting other people from around the area.
I think that one within the brochure, there's a comment here that I'd like to share.
Yeah.
It gives me something to focus on every week, something to look forward to. Without coming here every week, I think I would get too lost in my own head, to be honest.
It's a powerful message.
That's quite touching. That's quite touching.
Yeah, it's really powerful. And it is the risks of things like that, you know, getting lost in the thoughts in their own minds, that then losing their confidence to get out and meet people leads to social isolation, leads to the, you know, physically then not getting out and about as well. And it's a downward spiral for some of these people. And, you know, it's really important that they've got something. Football's not for everybody. You know, there are other fantastic organisations doing other projects around physical and mental health, but those that are engaged through football, you know, it's a fantastic tool to make sure that we have that really powerful difference that we make with it.
I think the important message is exercise helps mental health.
Yeah, and you know, it's almost one of those things that everybody kind of knows that, but nobody really puts it at the top of the lists. Sometimes in school, PE can be substituted with extra literacy and numeracy because of SATs tests and GCSE results. And, you know, I think it's important for people to, whatever bit of activity they have, go for a walk the dog, you know, go for a walk on your own, go and meet people, go on a running group, go and use the gym with your headphones in or whatever it might be, to you know, have that bit of time to take your mind off everything else. I know I do it, you know, after a day at work, I sometimes go to the gym, and I find that really good to just switch off and spend a bit of time on yourself, which is important.
Yeah, it's same here, really. I think for me, I try to sort of put a small walk in every day, but to be able to have a walk down to the local park and to hear the birds singing and the wind sort of whistling through the trees, it helps lift.
Well, it does, and I mean, there's a guy in the photo there in the front row, right in the middle with the red hat on, that some supporters of a certain age may remember as Maurice Willits. We've featured him before in annual reports. He's had his struggles, and I know I can speak about them a little bit because he's gone on camera and shares his experience to benefit others. And I'm good friends with Moz. I used to coach him when I first started nearly 30 years ago. He was one of the first kids I ever coached, and now he's an adult and still joining in our programs, and I get on really well with him. And I see him on his social media. He goes for a walk nearly every day, comes to our sessions as well, and he really does value the importance of that. So even something as simple as just going for a walk, I know he walks the Arboretum and around his local area and things like that. It's so valuable to people.
Yeah, it helps when the weather's nice.
Yeah,
and a winter walk's pretty good as well. Lee,
wrapped up for that.
About Lee.
Yeah, Lee. So Lee's one of our participants. He obviously sees the value of coming to the sessions and enjoys sort of joining in and meeting the other guys. And I think, again, similar to what we were just saying, that without that football session that he's managed to access through us, you just don't know what situation Lee might find himself in. So really, really powerful. On all of the departments, we try and have a case study to just go, look, we do loads of great work. Here's all the big numbers of thousands of kids and everything like that. But here's some of the smaller, really important focuses on individuals or small groups of people that have really benefited from the work we do. And Lee's definitely one of those.
personal stories matter, don't they?
They do, and they can have real impact. It's difficult sometimes because funders like to see numbers as well. If they're going to give you some funding of a certain amount of money, they like to see that it's had a big impact. But equally, that big impact can be a personal story for one individual. You know, is it great to give 100 kids a football session? Yeah. Is it just as great, possibly arguably better, that you've impacted one person on a mental health program who's now not slipping into social isolation and possible thoughts of, you know, darker thoughts in their own minds? So quality and quantity are two things, and you know, you have to juggle both with funding, but yeah, the personal stories are really, really good.
Yeah. The sport element obviously is sort of a big focus for a lot of people, and ultimately getting players through into the academy for the youngsters that are coming through. That's also a big part of what you do, isn't it? Obviously, the health and the education is an important community aspect, but the football side of it and the sport, a lot of people look solely at that. But obviously, there's other elements. But we are interested in the sports side.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a pretty obvious department to have because we're a football club and it's sport, but it's a bit further and beyond that. As you quite rightly say, we run our development centre with the players. We link that with so those lads I was talking about from the Kids Cup, potentially coming into the development centre or going straight into the academy, whichever. If we manage to sort that out, and those players, they follow the same curriculum and training programs as the academy. We work very closely with Rob and the team in the academy to help identify players. So that's an element of it. We never promise the world. You know, you can't make promises to kids. If you join the program, you'll become a footballer. Yeah. What it does do, it gives them structured training. It gives them match days for the older age groups in the MJPL. But most importantly, and there's lots spoken about what happens to kids when they're released from clubs and possibly the mental health of that and everything. Well, we offer a sort of, I call it a shadow youth team, but a shadow youth team experience, I should say, where the kids will, at 16, I say kids, they probably wouldn't like that, but at under 18s, we run college programs. So younger players released from the academy will obviously go and try and find academy football elsewhere, but also have the option to stay at Walsall and keep working with us in the development centre. For those that maybe don't get offered youth team contracts at 16, we have an under 18 program that we run at the club as well. And we've got plans. We're just moving to bringing that in-house at the stadium and employing our own tutor. And the plan for that is to grow that again from within the stadium and also include a female element to help support the Walsall women and be a youth team for the Walsall women's side. So, there's lots of plans there, and the development centre brings players through. Joe Folkes was one of those players who's obviously had a great season at Kidderminster. Marvellous, who's been offered a contract to join the first team this year, was another player we recruited from there, and one or two others. Our previous 2019 appearance in the Kids Cup final at Wembley has now got 2 kids in the under 16s next year. Going through that potentially may get youth team contracts this time next year. So, the sport element's important to us.
I was surprised. Obviously, Marvellous. I have trouble with his surname.
We'll just call him Marv.
Marv, yeah. I was surprised that there were so few that sort of were offered contracts. What? Were they just not it's standard, or is it a budget thing? What do you think?
I wouldn't know if I'm honest. Ultimately, I think it'll be down to the standards that are expected. It's somebody once told me, because I've done little bits of work in the academy over the years, and somebody once told me that the hardest contract for a footballer to ever earn is their second professional, because up to 18, they've only ever played in their own age groups. You'll only play against the best under 14s, the best under 16s. Whereas once you get to 18 and pro, you're playing against somebody that's got 300-400 league appearances and, a 20-year career behind them. And you're up against them. And can you actually step up to that level? So it's difficult. They get their first contract. Joe Folkes is a great example. We've had him signed as a pro for 2 years, and he spent both years at Kidderminster Harriers. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but for Joe, that his journey at the moment has been 2 years playing at that National League North level, Now, obviously, got promotion from that. He won their Young Player of the Year. He's made probably over 100 appearances in adult football at a very good standard. And now, he's got that playing experience behind him and has mixed it with adults. Ashley Hemmings, who used to play for Walsall, he's playing at that level. Matt Preston was there last year. And, he's playing with some very good experienced players. And you just send players on their path and the chance will come and hopefully they take it.
I think with Joe Folks, I think he's up for contract review, isn't he? So we're all hoping that he's going to be in the first team squad next season. But I think that's unclear at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots to sort out in the football side of things with what happened towards the end of the season. But, for me on a personal level and the lads that run the sport department for us, we've known Joe since he was 8 years old and we like to see him do well, and that's the main thing. So, we'd like to see him do well for Walsall potentially in the future as well.
Yeah, that's it. You want to try and keep hold of him, don't you? That's
yeah.
Oh, quality. Right then, next one. We've got match day experiences. Now, I know that the club did a thing looking at match day experiences, but for you, it's somewhat different, isn't it?
Yeah, slightly different. We've had a year-long sponsorship with HomeServe who've helped support us on this programme. And essentially our match day experiences, yes, there's the whole sort of match day experience. We get assessed to have the Family Excellence Award and everything like that on the football club side of things. From the foundation, it's the match day visits for local junior teams and groups in the area. And then obviously fans that go to the ground on match day will see that there's the ball assistants around the pitch, the boys and girls that retrieve the ball, and the flag bearers for the guard of honour as players walk out. And that's an experience.
Lewis normally takes those round, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yeah, there's the staff are well drilled in their jobs on match day, and we do impress the importance of the guard of honour looking good as they come out, and the ball assistants getting the ball back quickly, particularly if we may be chasing the game. Making sure they're switched on. But ultimately, it's about giving kids experiences at football matches. A lot of them have never been to live football. A lot of them never been to a Walsall game, and through those in the last sort of season, we've seen over 5,000 people. Adults and the children and the accompanying adults coming to those games, and they're a really important part of engaging the local community in the club, and then obviously for the younger fans, hopefully making them start to have an interest in Walsall Football Club.
That's it. I think as we said before, it comes down to what it's like on the pitch, whether they're coming back. So particularly with Sam's in charge. Maybe we'll have better play.
Yeah, right? I mean that style of play is important. Winning a game is an obvious one, but you want people. We always kind of say to people, we can't guarantee the performance and the weather, but the rest of it, we'll make sure you have a good day. And if the weather's nice and we win, it's a win-win all round. And the school partners was great this year. I think it's the first time ever that we've won both our school partners games.
Yeah, that's it. I noticed that
against Crawley and Gillingham, and again. The second one we did in March had the highest attendance we've ever had for a school partners game.
That's 7,000, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, and that came down. That second partners game was in a run that obviously is well documented. Wasn't maybe the best of runs we could have been on, but we still had people through the door coming to engage with those tickets and watch the game, and it was great to get the win on that match as well.
There's one particular guy we need to talk about, and that's young Harry. Now, I think I messaged you on email. Harry Dixon is my mate's cuz.
Right.
He's come all the way through with you, hasn't he, Harry Dixon, from 7?
Yeah, Harry, and there are numerous others, but Harry's a great example and one that came to sort of the end of this part of his journey with us, I suppose, if you want to call it that has been with the club since he was 7. He was in our development centre, never quite got into the academy. And again, as I say, we never promised that to the kids, but we can assure that they have a good experience with us right through. And he's gone through from the youngest age groups. There's the photo of him there many years ago as a ball boy at a game. Then the white team photograph in the white kit, that's one of his MJPL years. I'm not quite sure which probably sort of 13s, 14s maybe. And then the photo in the bottom right-hand corner is him representing the club in the EFL CIFA League, which is the College Education Football Alliance. CIFA is the acronym for that, which is that shadow youth team experience that we can offer the players. And he'll have gone right the way through, enjoyed his football, engaged with the club, come out with qualifications as well at the end of it with his BTEC in sport. And, we wish him well on whatever, where life takes him next, because at 18, coming 18 now, he's got those decisions of whether he goes to uni or work or what he's going to do next. But he's had 11 fantastic years with us and was a great example of how we can support young people through a journey using football as the main tool.
Yeah. Did he have an academy offer or not?
I honestly couldn't tell you. Mark, who runs the sport department for us, keeps a track of all those. We obviously see lots of people, lots of different projects that I help support, all the staff. So on the spot, I couldn't actually tell you, but I'm sure if I spoke to Mark, he'd let you know whether he got that opportunity or not.
I ought to just ask me mate, really. He should know.
Yeah. Drop him a message. He'll tell you. Last
time I spoke to him, he said he'd changed direction. He was going to stay with the football. I think that's the last thing. Because on your brochure in Thursday, he's sort of finishing. But I mean,
we don't offer anything at the moment beyond 18 on that program.
No.
One of the things we can do and we'll be looking at, but we've still got to grow the college program to a point where it's got that strength in depth, is that we can access a sports coaching degree, a distance learning degree that students can then study at the football club as well. But it's not something where just one student can do it. We need a classroom of kids, of maybe 10, 12 kids, 18-year-olds, 10, 12, 14 of them. Lots of clubs do it. I think there's nearly 60 clubs are involved in that, in a link with the University of South Wales. And as ever, we always look to grow programs. It's on our radar to do that. But the sad thing about our post-16 program is our first season was the 2020 season. So this season's probably the first year that we've actually run a whole season without the impact of COVID, weirdly. So it's been a bit of a rocky road because COVID threw a spanner in the works. Our first ever full season was cut short. Our second season was on and off with games and lockdowns, and it took a while. And if we hadn't have had that break from the pandemic, I imagine we probably would be offering that university program now. But it's certainly something we're very keen to introduce, but at the right time where we know it will be a quality program with the right number of participants on it that gets the best out of it for them. So that's one for the pipeline in the future.
Yeah, so it'd be nice if he went on to the academy and the likes, but that's not always the option.
No, but we also do lots and we do primary and secondary things on this. We talk to the players in the post-16 about opportunities away from playing, and the jobs in football, coaching, sports science, tutoring. There's many jobs they could go into, physiotherapy, and we encourage that as well.
Engagement and is sort of the next element.
Yeah, it's just breaking up a little bit. Hopefully, I'm still you can still hear me. I mean, engagement's a pretty broad term. Obviously, everything we do is engaging participants through football and the club. But for us, the NCS program we ran last year, which was engaging 16, 17-year-olds in outdoor bounds and community projects, was important. But also, one of the key ones has been the holiday and food program that the council supports, which is for the pupils on universal, or families on universal credit, pupils on free school meals that can access the football and food in the school holidays with us. So loads of different engagement programs. Our Kicks program in an evening. It actually sat in sport, but is kind of sport engagement is the and Kicks is a good follow on to the stuff we're now doing with Featherstone Prison as part of the National Prison Twinning Project. Which is trying to use football to prevent reoffending. Kicks, getting kids off the street that may get involved in things they probably shouldn't if they weren't engaged in something positive, and football can be that. So loads of different engagement projects that really, again, have a bigger hit and a bigger meaning behind just a simple football session.
It's about keeping that focus, isn't it? It's about keeping that focus for people, doing the right kind of things, right healthy pursuits.
Jensen, great example of that. A young lad that needed that extra support. We got him involved in the holiday and food program through the council, got him involved in activities. His parents have been quoted as to the impact that's had on him, on his confidence, and he's been a bit more outgoing, and all to the point there in that bottom picture, you can see him as a community mascot, which is funded through our friends at Free Kicks Foundation, that buy a kit for 23 kids over the season, and we give them the opportunity to walk out with the team. And I mean, if you'd have said that to his parents before he got engaged with us, would he walk out as a mascot with the first team in front of all the supporters? They'd have said no chance at all. And there he is doing it. So again, the impact we can have on individuals just by sort of getting involved, taking a bit of care over their well-being, and using football to engage them.
That's phenomenal work again. So fair play to you.
Yeah, no, thank you. We're really proud of the impact we have, whether it's huge numbers or individual studies. It's
as we said, it's individual stories help people to understand the bigger picture of what's happening.
Yeah, and I impress on the staff all the time. Everybody that comes is going to be engaged by the club, draw an opinion of the club based on what experience they have with us, whatever program it is they're on, and make sure we do that and make sure we make a difference. And we're all very proud that Walsall Football Club can have that impact across the town as well.
Yeah, that's very good. The Trivala Foundation, what sort of effect have Trivala had from the previous regime, sort of before Lee Pomnett sort of thing?
I think from a foundation perspective, we've always had the support of the chairman, they always and the board, because they always see the value in what we do. It's every football club does it. We want to be up there and regarded as one of the best in the activities we run as a foundation. Trivala came in pretty much 12 months ago now, and we're very upfront in saying that they wanted the football club to impact the whole community. They've always been very vocal of that. They knew there was the foundation, but obviously had looked at the other side of things first in buying a football club. But very, very quickly came over, got to really know what we do, the impact we have, and they're really positive about the work we do. And one of the Trivala Foundation board has now joined as a trustee as well. So they're invested in us. They've funded a project, the Assist to Achieve program, which is to support. We've got like a sports mentor that goes into a local primary school and supports targeted children in that school to sort of show them that there's a big wide world out there, and to broaden their horizons and think about, going on to things that maybe they wouldn't consider in the future, such as college and further education and things like that, and supporting kids with learning difficulties in the school, behaviour problems and different things like that, which has a huge impact, because if they've got attendance and behaviour problems and we can address that, they're more engaged in school, they're more likely to get better grades, and better grades may lead on to better futures. So really important programme. We've had players go out to visit the kids. And recently we had Matt Jordan on a Zoom call with him, and he was absolutely brilliant with the kids and had a real impact on them. So for me as the foundation, they're super supportive. They're very keen to have that impact. And if that sort of attitude is continued around the club in a very calculated way, as they've suggested it would be, I'm hopeful it'll be a really positive future for every department at the football club.
Yeah, I think it's easy for people for some like Trivala to come in and say, "Oh yeah, we're all for the community. We're going to help the community." But it's whether they follow that through and physically actually do anything is it's good to see that they are following through on what was said.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's that. It's easy for a manager to come in and go, "Yeah, community, get more people through the door," and then not do anything with us. Mike Flynn was brilliant, I have to say, in his support of our work and getting players out to engagements. I've not really had a chance to speak to Matt too much yet, because he's been getting his feet under the table, and his appointment's only been the last sort of month or so anyway, couple of weeks of the season left. So, but from being at the club and speaking to Matt when I do go down the training ground, I'm sure we'll have exactly the same support from him. And that's vital. And I suppose Trivala extending that, and the club have always extended it, that if they support that community and the community then supports the club, it's that win-win situation again, where there's more people in the stadium, it's generating more income, and you've got that gradual growth over the years. So yeah, I get on really well with them all. From Trivala, I see the work they do behind the scenes, and I'm certain it'll have a positive impact on the whole club.
Yeah, I think the American influence. A lot of people sort of joking about sort of all big flag waving and bells and whistles and that sort of stuff, and customer service. People refer to the American style. Have you seen anything specific Americanized, or is it just like similar?
Not particularly in that respect. I don't think they're very conscious of those things, but they're the right things to be conscious of. They've always said that they're. You know what? I remember one of the staff jokingly asking them when they took over the club, "Is it football or soccer?" And they said, "No, we know very much it's football." And they try to embrace the English culture of the game, not the Americanisms as such from the soccers, the leagues that they have over there. But I mean, fans will have seen. You see it on social media. Ben does go out and try and experience the match day from a fan's perspective. He's been seen buying a Baltic pie in the corner and. From one of the kiosks, and I know Wes, who's on our board of trustees, has done a lot of work on the off-field activities as well. And it's really positive, and they're really invested in what we're doing as a club.
I think it's easy when the football results haven't been there to think that everything is rubbish. Yeah,
I mean. I've kind of asked them that. I said, does it surprise you that when the football isn't great, you know, the burgers aren't great either, kind of thing? And it is. We're always, every football club, not just Walsall, every club is going to be judged on, the performances on the pitch. You look at, I mean, a great example would have been Everton and Leicester. One of those two could have gone down. Leicester haven't finished lower than sort of 9th in the Premier League or something in the last 8 years. They've won the league, they've won the cup. And now relegated. And if it had been Everton, they're building a brand new stadium worth hundreds of millions of pounds on the docks in Liverpool. So, everything off the pitch can be running great, but if the team loses, that's the biggest focus of supporters, and it hurts us as well at the club because we don't want to be in that situation. We want to see the team playing well from a foundation perspective. When we're putting people through the door to watch the games, we want them to see an entertaining game of football, and it makes life ever so much easier. So. Fingers crossed that the appointments over the summer and the signings we'll make over the summer will have a difference. And, we have a really good season of it next year.
Yeah, I think Matt Sadler's mindset is much more the old Walsall way of sort of pass and move and that sort of, rather than the hoofball that we've been...
Yeah, I mean, managers come in with their styles of play. They obviously have players that they rely on if they're a more sort of seasoned manager and have worked with players in the past. Maybe that's not the case with Matt so much, that he's got players that have been at other clubs with him as a manager because this is his first appointment. That may change things just from a football fan's perspective, because ultimately I watch games as much as a fan as a member of staff, and we're sort of distanced from some of the bigger decisions. Obviously, it's not foundation business to get involved in that, but we see the decisions, we see the football on the pitch, and we're invested as supporters of the club as well. So I really hope Matt can have a great sort of summer, make some really key signings, and we have some really good football. And the last game of the season, it was commented on the style of play that we played, and we obviously won it, and the football was a little bit more what we were used to. Maybe in previous managers. Yeah. So, hopefully that continues and it sort of pays dividends.
Yeah, I think if, in all honesty, I think when Matt Sadler was confirmed as the new manager, it was somewhat underwhelming, really, with the other names that had been bandied about. But he does know the club. Just because the other managers have had success elsewhere doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be successful in the next role.
No, and football's a funny business. I think again, just from my perspective, they took their time, they interviewed candidates, and they obviously thought Matt was the best manager for the job, which is a testament to him if he's gone through a thorough process and come out on top with the relative inexperience he's got of being a manager. So I think that's fantastic for Matt. But it doesn't always, ring true. You look at the success of, say, Brighton in the Premier League, and they're the owners at Chelsea went and plucked the manager that everyone was screaming is the best thing we've had as an English manager. And, Graham Potter very sadly didn't quite do what he did at Brighton for Chelsea. And it's you just don't know. So football's very funny, and you can sign a player. We had it where we signed a couple of players, and then they got injured almost straight away, and we lost key players. And you can sign players that maybe don't then perform as well as you thought they might, and then you might find somebody that's on the fringes and suddenly becomes your best player. It's all
Liam Bennett
sometimes.
Liam Bennett, albeit a loan from Cambridge, but I don't think anybody realised how good he would become.
No, the impact of those players. Carl Rushworth the season before. If you'd have said an under 23 first team, third choice goalie from Brighton was going to come in and do a job for us like he did, because ultimately he wasn't going to be in the Brighton first team that season, and obviously not the season after when he's been at Lincoln. And what a great prospect he's got, under 21 caps and everything else. I look back at particularly the goalies. Who'd have thought at the time that goalies like Rich O'Donnell, Neil Etheridge, goalies like that ultimately we got on free transfers because their clubs didn't want to offer them contracts and have gone on to play at Championship and Premier League level. Pure luck of the draw, I suppose. Sometimes you take. Who'd heard of Hernos Tuma before we got him?
Hernos Tuma,
and players like that. So it is. It's football, isn't it? Players.
It's strange. It's strange. Some manager will do particularly well at one club and then won't do any good anywhere else. And,
it's. I don't know whether it's a fit. We're all football fans, and you look at whether managers and players fit certain clubs and different things. Look at Zaha, went to Man United, never really did anything, and comes back and is a Crystal Palace legend, and more than capable of performing in the Premier League. But it's. I don't know that you're always looking at players coming in and hoping that you've made the right decisions on managers, coaches, players, and that everything clicks and you gain that momentum and it takes you through the league. So, it's, you look at the teams that went up this season. At the start of the season, no one would have put Stevenage there. Nobody would have predicted Luton Town being in the Premier League next year, but something's obviously right at their club. And it is, and big clubs that have got relegated as well. No one would have put money on Leicester coming down this season, for example.
No.
You look at the fall from grace of a Scunthorpe United, very sadly, that have gone from League One to playing, or League Two, I should say, to playing Rushall in 3 seasons.
How about Forest Green went up as an absolute canter, and change of manager and that sort of stuff, and it's all gone pear-shaped.
And yet the manager that took them up has just gone and done the job at Luton. So it's after being sacked by Watford. So it's football, isn't it? I think it's the part of football that we sort of love to see, but also frustrates us the most as football fans, isn't it? That you see somebody that you think is going to do well doesn't, they go somewhere else and get great success, and vice versa. That's the beauty of football.
That's the clever thing, as you say. Players that have been released that we've picked up. Great example of that, of course. Bringing back to the Luton thing, Elijah Adebayo. Fulham had seen him surplus to requirements, and then with work from Brian Dutton, we understand, transformed him into a top player. And his assist for their goal was he
was fantastic down the left wing, to
absolute top quality.
Turned the guy inside out and into knots, didn't he, to put the ball across for the goal.
And then the calmness after he'd done that was 2 or 3 very, very clever technical moves, effectively, to get him clear, and then the calmness to just lay the ball back after that. That was very good.
We understand. He was a player that wasn't maybe as popular at the beginning of his time with us. If it's to be told, he was one that had to work hard to win everybody over, but he eventually did. And obviously it's been documented that the move could prove quite beneficial to us now he's got promoted. It was strange because we went to the Kids Cup on the Saturday. We actually arrived just in time to watch the game. We stayed on a hotel on Wembley Way. We were watching the game with Wembley out the window. And I get on really well with the guys at Coventry. Obviously, the connections with their management and Chris Marsh in good health again there. And so there was a part of me was wishing Coventry the best, but also knowing that little bit about Elijah that maybe we wanted Luton to go up.
So what Lee Pomlett had said previously, if Luton get promoted with Elijah Adebayo, it'll be the best deal that Walsall have ever done.
Yeah.
So nobody knows how much that is. We can speculate. But
One or two do, but they're not letting anybody know at the moment. I don't know. It's It's obviously Lee. That's been documented that's what Lee had said. Then Luton obviously.
That's got to be over $500,000 for him to have said that.
You would imagine so. Again, I would have no clue on
the
deals are, and it'll be interesting. I saw you put in did you put a tweet out when someone was saying, why don't we just say how much it is and put the fans at rest? But then everybody knows your budget and starts to inflate prices. You've got to be very cagey because people do look at those sort of moments and they know we had similar with Rico in the past. We were hopeful of something on Troy Deeney at the time. It was well documented that there was clauses there.
Actually, I heard a podcast recently, some guys chatting to Troy Deeney, and that transfer to Arsenal came up in conversation.
Yeah.
And I think they were looking to pay $100 million for Troy Deeney, which would have been a $25 million deal for Walsall. Now Arsenal contacted Walsall and said he's worth $100 million. We're not going to let him go for $75 million because obviously if we're going to give you $25 million, and they wanted to do the deal to reduce that $25 million.
Right.
And Jeff Bonsar said, on your bike, it's $25 million. And ultimately, cutting off his nose to spite his face, really. Where do you sit on that?
That's the first I've heard of that, really.
I haven't seen that.
Was
listening to it, yeah.
Yeah, that was on a podcast. I mean, clubs will make deals again. Who would have thought that deal for Elijah would have done what's happened? If somebody had said to you at the time we sold him to Luton, by the way, he's going to get into the Premier League and there's going to be those sell-on clauses, people would have gone, well, hold on, he's only ever proved himself at our level and was surplus to Fulham's requirements. And Luton in the Premier League, you must be joking. And there it is, happening over the weekend, bit of a football fairy tale. And you just don't know what goes on behind the scenes on those sort of deals. Like I say, there was Scott Dan, Jamie Patterson, Rico Henry, Elijah is the current one. You just don't know. But those clubs signing those players are always taking a punt because if they're signing them from us in League One or League Two, they've obviously got to go again and prove their worth at Championship and Premier League level. And for those players, thankfully, they have. And all being well, the money comes in and I'm sure the club will invest it correctly.
Well, it'd be interesting. I think I did have one comment on Twitter, and you get some funny comments sometimes. That was that any money they get from Luton will go straight into the Americans' back pocket. And I'm thinking, I don't know where that kind of comes from, that kind of thought. I think there's much more about them than that. There's much more about them.
There is. And for us, as a club, and we're only 12 months into their ownership. They've made some great strides, obviously, buying the freehold to the land and things like that. They've made some real big impact off the pitch, which hopefully in turn has that sort of impact on the pitch. And unlike Lee and Jeff previously, who are successful businessmen and local people that have owned the club, this is an American investment group. Ben Boycott doesn't own the club as Ben Boycott, he owns it as Trivala Group, and it's a different way of working that, in fairness, we're only just coming up to 12 months in, and I think off the pitch they've made some great strides, and if their plan for a a gradual improvement continues, they'll be judged on that over the next few seasons. And I'm hopeful and pretty confident that that's what will happen, because I think they're doing a great job behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it's just as we know, until it makes a difference to the football, people won't believe it as such, will they?
No, but they're very invested in the football side. They're football fans, not soccer fans, football fans, and they want to see that success on the pitch, and they know that the success on the pitch does then transcend across the whole club into everything having that feel good factor about it. So I have no doubt they'll be making the right decisions, and let's hope for a really good season next year.
So what would you do with the money if it was a couple of million? Say what would you?
I'd build the foundation and extra AstroTurf so we can do more activities. No, you would like to think that because the football side of it has generated that income, it's invested back into the football side and allows maybe some signings that in the past or before Luton's promotion we wouldn't have been able to make otherwise. And invest it in that football aspect of the club and see that we have a strong side. It's going to be a tough league too. I've seen a few things going around after the playoffs talking about how difficult every league is and the size of clubs in certain leagues and things like that. There'll be, again, some strong teams and one or two that have invested in the football side, like Stockport, got within a whisker of promotion after, they were documented on investing in the football side. But at the same time, you don't want to end up like a Scunthorpe or a Macclesfield or a Bury or one or two others that have struggled. It's that fine balance. And there are people far wiser than me and knowledgeable than me in those areas on the football side that'll be making those decisions. I'm sure they'll get it right.
Yeah. I think Carlisle has sort of almost proved a point that you don't need to spend big because they've got quite a low budget compared to the likes of Stockport. And,
Stockport, Salfords, Bradford cities and the like in our division. Yeah, and we've done it before. The seasons we've been up in the past were the seasons we were favourite to go down under Ray Graydon and Dickie Dosh, Richard Money. We weren't favourites to go up, and I mean the last time we went up from this division with Richard Money, we were absolutely flying from the off. I think we went, wasn't it 16 games clean sheets at the start of the season, and nobody could touch us. But again, youth team players. That was when Troy was a youth player. Scott Dan had come in from the youth. Who knew that they were going to go on and have the careers they had? It's that that bit of fortune as well. Maybe Ram will become our next shining star.
The thing is, I think for next season, we've pretty much got 10 first teamers set already. So we with the budget,
I think unlike the last couple of summers,
quality, isn't it?
Yeah, we have had some sort of big summers of lots of signings the last couple of years. That's there for everyone to see as supporters. But we do seem to have a base of players there that have got first team experience and been at the club for a year now, which I think is important because they'll know the club. And Donovan Daniels, for example, as captain again. He was captain last year. He's captain. Well, he's going to be in the squad next season potentially. I would imagine in there for being captain again. And they'll have that care about the club and wanting to do well. So there's a good base to build on. And who knows, some good signings, maybe investing a little bit of the money that we may be getting from Luton Town, and fingers crossed it's all positive and we move forward and have a successful season.
Yeah, nice one. Right then, just before we finish, what you got planned in the year ahead for the foundation?
Year ahead, lots to look forward to. Probably one of the main things, and again something that will become more obvious as we get into new season, is we're going to do a lot more with Walsall Women. We're going to be looking at the women's and girls side of the club, promoting the women's game, which will be great. Continuing with the HAF program, growing the twinning project, looking to grow schools. There's some new staff employment opportunities out there for people. We've given internal staff the opportunity for promotion for the great work they've been doing. So So for us, very positive, lots to look forward to, but we never rest on our laurels. We like to keep busy and keep having the impact that we have, and make sure that the football club's name is held up there for having a big impact in the community. So yeah, we'll keep going.
We'll keep going. We got to do, haven't we? Right then. Thanks for coming on, Adam.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We hope next season everything improves. That's
across the board.
Forever hopeful. That's Walsall Fan TV and the Join the Pain podcast. Thank you for watching, listening, and love to hear your comments. What you think of what great work Adam's doing with the foundation. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Cheers.